Today, hell freezes over. Why do you ask? I am going to do the unthinkable. I am going to use a repel. Why is that? Because of those ramps here. Yeah, you can see how annoying it would be to have that run interrupted by a wild Pokemon. Now you seem to be stuck, but here's the key to going further. You have to go down to third gear, then just do that little jump there, and you're free to continue. And after that, don't forget to go back to the fourth gear. But yeah, that's basically how to continue. It may be a little non-obvious if you don't know what to do, but of course, I knew beforehand. Grip Claw, okay, can live with that. So, yeah. At least in the... Oh, Repel's effect wore off. It's good to know, I guess. But yeah, at least in the Sky Tower... Sky Tower? Sky Pillar. Sky Tower is in the first mystery dungeon, sorry. At least in the Sky Pillar, you know those floors where you gotta use the Mach Bike to go through those floors that break down? At least they were nice enough to not stick any wild Pokemon in there. But no, they can't do that here, because of course this is just one giant floor and they can't have no random encounters at all in the basement, especially since it's the only place in the game where you can get a Gibble. Though you can, in Platinum only, you can find Gabites in Victory Road, but only in Platinum. But that's not the point. The point is that they weren't kind enough to remove the random battles in those areas where you have to jump up these ramps. So you could potentially have your run interrupted at any given time. And of course, that is not cool. So that's why I used the repel there, so that I wouldn't need to go back and forth trying to build up speed. Oh crap, a random battle. Now I gotta try again. So yeah, basically that's why I used repels. I'm not a fan of using repels, but here I think it was a fairly legitimate use of a repel. So now that's done, I've gotta jump down this ledge and do another perfect run here. I don't think I'm going to need to use a repel for this particular area, since it's just 2 jumps, and the fact that I ran into a random battle at this point means that I'm probably not going to be due for at least another few steps, which would probably give me the chance to get past those 2 jumps. Let's see. 1, 2, okay! Now, oh god, this one. I'm just gonna try once. Nope. So, yeah, random battles. So what I'm going to do, I really have no choice. I'm going to use a repel for this one. Because if you remember how hard it is to turn precisely without slowing down, how hard it was in the Sky Pillar, it's pretty much the same thing here, except that this bike is a little slower than the Mach Bike, so it's a little easier to handle, but it's still a lot trickier considering you have to deal with random battles. So I'm going to go for a repel just in case I have to try over and over and over again. So let's see now. Repel. So here we go. Yeah, on the first try. Excellent. So now I'm going to go up here, and there should be the big prize for doing all this. TM26, Earthquake. Now, in Diamond and Pearl, you gain access to this only after the 6th gym, I believe. But, yeah. It's really not that big a deal, since, you know, you can use it only once anyway. So the difference isn't as big as if we were playing, say, Generation 5, where you can use the same TM an infinite number of times. So basically, imagine if we were playing Generation 5. You find the Earthquake TM after the 2nd gym, so you can slap on Earthquake on as many Pokemon as you want at this point in the game. Especially since I think it's the 4th gym that's an electric gym where the gym leader uses a Zeburaika and 2 Amongas. Really fearsome lineup there, by the way. And seeing this Bronzer reminds me, I got hit by an extrasensory by one earlier in this video. Well, this is sort of Bronzer's way to compensate for its shitty special attack score. Because whereas every other Psychic is stuck with Confusion at this point, at least Bronzer has Extra Sensory, which has 80 power and also 30 PP, making it very sexy indeed. I don't know if they designed that move with Bronzer in mind, but still it helps compensate for the shitty special attack rather, because it's a special move. So we're out of the Wayward Cave finally. I think we spent like 45 minutes in there, if my calculations are correct, or something like that. 40, 45. So yeah, we're done with the Wayward Cave. We're not going back in there ever again. So now I've got to make my way out of Route 206, which has lots of random battles since there's tall grass everywhere. Sorry for the little delay, but after that I'm going to head to Route 207. If you remember, I only beat 2 trainers there on the way to getting the Versus Seeker, so now I'm going to beat everyone else, and hopefully, I don't think I'll be able to make it to Mount Coronet in this video, but oh well. It's gonna wait until the next one. Anyway, in the news department, I'm probably giving you a scoop since Serebii still hasn't reported it yet because it's lagging a few days behind that Japanese site that I used to check that stuff. But Poliwag and Vulpix have been found in the dream world. They're in the forest at 20,000 points. I don't know why it was discovered so much later than the rest. Maybe it's just a lot more rare, which wouldn't surprise me, given their outrageously broken abilities. But yeah, now there is no obstacle at all to our sun and rain infested overused metagame. Unless, of course, Ninetales and Politoed are deemed uber, which would definitely kill it. But somehow I get the feeling that it's going to remain overused. That both of them actually could remain overused for the simple fact that without their abilities, they're... well, especially Ninetales is a decent Pokemon. Not all that great, but still fairly decent. And Politoed has just enough stuff to throw its weight around. It's not a very good Pokemon otherwise. I wouldn't recommend it without Drizzle. But with Drizzle, it suddenly becomes a lot more threatening. And I wouldn't go as far as to qualify them of dead weight with awesome abilities, because a Boma Snow would suck so much without Snow Warning, whereas Ninetales and Politoed are somewhat respectable. Especially Ninetales, as I said. And here we got another freaking kid that's obsessed with shorts. What's with kids in the Pokemon world and shorts? I just don't get it. Is it supposed to be funny? I mean, I know their comfy and easy to wear thing is a meme and all, but why do they feel the need to bring it back over and over and over? It's popular because of its randomness, but at some point, it's getting old. There's some stuff that never gets old, and unfortunately, the whole shorts gag is not one of those things. But anyway, back to the news about Ninetales and Politoed. Back in Generation 4, Hail was somewhat respectable due to the fact that there was a perma-hail inducer in overuse, namely a Boma Snow. Something Rain and Sun didn't have. You really had to use Rain Dance or Sunny Day to get your Rain or Sun up, and it would last either 5 or 8 turns, depending on your inducer's held item. But now that all the weather conditions have their perma-weather inducers, I think Hail is really going to take a backseat this time around, for the simple fact that only one type is immune to it, whereas for Sandstorm you got Ground, you got Steel, you got Rock, and all the subtypings of those types. And you also got Cacturn, which is immune to Sandstorm, thanks to Sandveil, which gives Sandstorm immunity to those who don't have it already. Though I don't think anyone would ever actually use Cacturn on a serious, overused Sandstorm team. But yeah, Sandstorm has 3 immune types to salvage its worth, as well as Cacturn, but it's a non-factor. And there's also the fact that Tyranitar is much better than any other perma-weather inducer out there. Of course, Generation 5 introduced a Pokemon that is theoretically a perfect counter to Tyranitar, since it uses the Sandstorm to throw it right back in its face, and I'm talking about Doryuzu and its Sand Strength ability, of course. Though Sand Throw could be fairly interesting, seeing how Doryuzu isn't the fastest thing out there. It's not completely slow, but still, 88 base speed, I think. It could use Sand Throw, but Sand Strength definitely has a lot of appeal to help down Tyranitar. But yeah, the bottom line is that if you want Hail to be a help more than a hindrance, you need to have lots of Ice types on your team, which isn't recommended because Ice blows chunks as a defensive typing, so you're going to get swept rather easily. So, I think the struggle is really going to be between Rain and Sun, and Sandstorm can pull the job as well, maybe because Sand Throw and Sand Strength didn't exist last gen, and now they do. Sorry for press the wrong button there, so it might happen sometimes that I change the gears accidentally on my bike. And while I'm thinking of it, LPing, well, it's not something I'd put on a resume for sure, but it can still come in rather handy if you're not a native English speaker like me, because the thing is that I and my supervisor had to call the manufacturer of one of the machines we work with at work, and the problem is that they're based in, I think it's Guelph, so of course it's definitely a problem. The language barrier can still be fairly problematic, especially since, well, I wouldn't say I'm the best at English where I work, because my supervisor can hold his own fairly well, but come on now! 2 detects in a row? Jesus, why don't you attack? It's not like detect does anything at all. Well, at least it missed this time. 3 detects in a row. And it's not even for stalling, for damage, or something like that. No, it's just stalling for time and wasting PP. On Razor Leaf. Stupid Metatite, you deserve to lose. So, yeah, as I was saying, the fact that I'm LPing, well, you can notice it for yourself. Look up any of my really old videos from 2008, look at this one, and you'll probably notice that I got a whole lot better at English since then. And this guy here is the hiker that I skip on my way to getting the Versus Seeker, and after that, I think it's the last trainer on Route 207, but before heading into Mount Coronet, I'm going to head back to the Pokemon Center and heal myself, especially since, well, you just saw it, I think I got like 2 PP left on Razor Leaf, and if there's something that I'm going to need inside Mount Coronet, it's going to be a Razor Leaf. Now, we're not going to spend a hell of a long time in Mount Coronet. It's just one small path that leads straight through the mountain, and we're going to emerge on the other side in no time at all. But I'm still not going to do it with just one Razor Leaf PP, especially since there are trainers on the other side of the mountain before we arrive in Hearthome, so I'm just going to head back to Orberg, take the hiker's advice, go back to Orberg, and heal up my Pokemon for the rest of the trip that awaits us. And by heal up my Pokemon, I mean heal up my Torterra, because it was the only one to do any fighting at all. And I'm really wondering how close my Togepi's happiness is when it comes to evolution and all. And the thing is, someone suggested that I could use my friendship checker, but I'm not entirely sure that it can pinpoint, the exact moment where the happiness is high enough that you can evolve. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get that done before the next battle with Barry. A Togetic could come in handy even if it doesn't have any offensive moves. And here is Cyrus to give us some exposition on what Mount Coronet actually is. And he's going to give us some info on his intention as well, though he's remaining rather cryptic. He's not going to out and out say he wants to destroy the universe until much, much later in the game. And yeah, this is the third time we meet this guy. He arrives, does nothing, and leaves. And that means it's also the third time that they deny us of the awesomeness of Cyrus's battle theme. So, yeah, got only like 15 seconds left, so I'm gonna down this bronzer real quick, and afterwards we're gonna be done for today. Next time, we're going to go through Mount Coronet, what little of it we can explore, and hopefully, maybe, make it to Heart Home City. So see you next time.